Hello everybody, it's Chichuki back with another episode of Chichuki Views. Tonight on the program we're playing and checking out Colossal Cave. It's an old school Sierra type game with basically Sierra PC game royalty. Executive producer Ken Williams and Roberta Williams. If you know anything about PC gaming, you know they are like royalty, as I said before, about the game. Colossal Cave is a reimagining of the original text-based adventure game, first introduced in 1975 by Will Crowther and Don Woods as a fully immersive 3D VR experience. Colossal Cave is already well known to tens of millions of gamers worldwide. Several elements of the game, such as the code words X, Y, Z, Z, Y, and clue, are recognized instantly by many gamers. Don't hold me to that. Roberta Williams, who has received widespread industry recognition, including several Hall of Fame awards, and who is the designer of several industry-leading hit games, including King's Quest, Black Cauldron, and many more. Phantasmagoria. There you go. When I was a kid, I wasn't the biggest PC gamer, so please hold me to all that stuff. But we're going to do what we usually do for these. We're going to put 45 minutes on the clock, and then we're going to get right into it. Is there anything else? Oh god, there is more. Is adapting the game for the VR world and bringing to life its many characters. In the game, players explore a vast and extensive cave, seeking treasure within. Along the way, they will encounter a variety of characters, some of whom will attack, some of whom will entertain. For instance, there is a troll at the troll bridge, a bear, a snake, dwarfs, and a pirate. The player's quest is to find all the treasure. The challenge is not easy, and there will be a wide variety of puzzles. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going to put 45 minutes on the clock, and I'll give my Chichuki views. Let's do it. This is a point-and-click PC game. Sure.
Somewhere nearby is Colossal Cave, where others have found fortunes in treasure and gold. It is rumored that some who enter are never to be seen again, and magic is said to permeate the cave. I know of places, actions, and things. Take me with you, and I will be your eyes and hands. Keep watch on your compass. It will guide you through the cave. I know of a few special objects, such as a black rod hidden in the cave. Take these objects and carry them in your inventory, which will show you the items you're carrying. Some objects have side effects. For instance, the rod scares the bird, and usually people unsuccessfully manipulating an object are attempting something beyond their or my capabilities, and should try a different tack. Take heed that cave passages turn often, and realize that exiting one room to the north does not always guarantee entering the next from the south. And just because you enter a room one time without issue does not mean that you won't be rechanneled elsewhere the next. To get full credit for a treasure, you must leave it safely in the little building, though you do get partial credit for just locating the treasure. Points get lost for getting killed, or for quitting, though the former costs you more. Also, points are based on how much of the cave you've managed to explore. There is a large bonus just for penetrating the deeper cave, distinguishing the beginners from the rest of the pack. There are other ways to determine whether you've survived some of the more harrowing sections. And if you think you've found all the treasures, just keep exploring for a while. There's more to discover. Occasionally, I may offer hints if you seem to be having trouble. If I do, I'll warn you in advance how much it will cost your score to accept the hints. Good luck.
I'm sure I'll be taking hints. Okay. Before we begin, this game, Colossal Cave, can automatically map your journey as you play. This is recommended, although adventure game aficionados may not want this for themselves. Would you like auto mapping? I think I will have auto mapping on. If you've played the game previously, would you like to clear your existing maps and start making new ones? No.
You are standing at the end of a road before a small brick building. Around you is a forest. A small stream flows out of the building and down a gully.
Oops. Can I lower the... Oh, I guess I can. Oh, good. I can lower the volume a little bit.
Ba 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 ba.
There is food here. There's no use for that here. There's nothing to do with it here.
Alright, let's look.
You see rushing water. You see rushing water. Nothing happens. You see rushing water. There's nothing happens.
Alright, we think we got everything we need from there. Let's go this way.
You're in open forest, near both a valley and a road. You're in a forest, near a road.
Let's go back this way. I like that you can just keep going. See what's up here. Is it a dead end? It is a dead end. Okay. So I can't go any further that way. I'm playing this on a mouse, with a mouse. You can do mouse and keyboard if you wanted to.
You are standing at the end of a road before a small brick building.
Alright, let's go this way.
Around you is a forest. A small stream flows out of the building and down a gully.
Alright, looks like there's nothing over here. Alright, I thought I could go up that. Alright, I think we got everything we need out of that house. I'm sure there's something in there that's like, oh, you're supposed to take this. Take this. We just confirm that there's nothing down here. Okay, it doesn't look like there's anything over here. On an adventure. Aha.
You can't go through a locked steel grate. The grate is locked. Set of keys. You have unlocked the grate.
Okay, so your inventory can
Bottle
basically
of
just go
tasty food. Bottle of water. Brass land. Set of keys.
Ah, it's the map.
The grate is unlocked.
Oh. Wait. Why am I having trouble going in there?
This is an opening into a cave.
Oh, you have to actually click on it.
You're in a small chamber beneath a 3x3 steel grate to the surface. A low crawl over cobbles leads inwards to the west. You're in a small chamber beneath a There's nothing there but stinky trash. That is useless right now. Nothing happens.
Oh, that.
That won't work here. You are crawling over cobbles in a low passage. There is a small wicker cage discarded nearby. You're crawling in a low passage. It's getting difficult to see in here. Brass lantern. The lantern is now lit.
Oh, that's convenient.
You're crawling in a low passage. You are crawling over cobbles in a low passage.
I keep thinking this stuff that we're walking over is going to be important.
You're crawling in a low passage.
Let's go in a circle.
There's nothing to do with it here. You see a sturdy ladder.
I have a feeling I just went in a circle.
This is an opening into a cave.
Yep, went in a circle. Can I switch to use keyboard? I can. Okay. Yeah, this is like this going with the keyboard might be a little easier to do.
You're below the grate. A crawl over cobbles leads to the west. It says Zizzy.
Oh, it's Zizzy.
Zizzy. Zizzy.
Oh, that's nice.
You are in a debris room filled with stuff washed in from the surface. A low, wide passage with cobbles becomes plugged with mud and debris here, but an awkward canyon leads upward and west. You're in a room filled with debris. An awkward canyon leads to the west.
I'm sure you can fall off there and die.
A cheerful little bird is sitting here singing. You could catch the bird, but cannot carry it. Wicker cage. You have captured the bird.
the point of catching that bird do?
At your feet is a small pit breathing traces of mist. A white mist, usually water, seen from time to time in caverns. It can be found anywhere, but is frequently a sign of a deep pit leading down to water. Tasty food.
Go this way.
A little dwarf. Watch out!
Oh.
You're at the east end of a vast hall stretching out of sight to the... That won't work here. Nothing happens.
Whoa!
You're in a low room. Veins of gold cover the walls. It says you won't get it up the steps. That is useless right now. Large gold nugget. Little bird in a cage. There's nothing to... That won't work here. Little bird in a cage.
Alright, I can't do anything with that.
Tasty food.
Okay, let's save that the first time. Now let's see if we can go in here. Actually, let's go this way first. I changed my mind.
Enigmatic statues populate this grand space. Enigmatic statues populate this grand space. A huge green fierce snake bars the way. A huge green fierce snake. Tasty food. That won't work. That is useless right now. Bottle of water. That won't work with... Little bird in a cage. Little bird attacks the green snake, and in an astounding flurry, drives the snake away.
Okay.
This is an ancient tomb. This is an ancient tomb. There is precious jewelry here. Don't disturb the dead. Nothing happens.
Can't wait to get that copyright on this YouTube video. try doing it like this instead. Until I need to actually turn myself.
Could this have been the king's throne?
Could be. Okay, that's where the snake was.
You're in the hall of the Mountain King, with passages off in 5 directions.
5?
There are rare coins here. Sorry, you'll need to drop something before you can carry anything more. Precious jewelry. Bottle. Set of keys. Bottle of water. Ah, you were getting a bit thirsty. The food is rather tasty.
Alright, what can I need that money for?
These seem to be mining tunnels.
Oh, there's a ladder. Go up the hill first.
This is a dead end.
Okay. I guess I can't take that hammer.
You are at a crossover of a high north-south passage and a low east-west one. These seem to be mining tunnels. These seem to be mining tunnels.
Okay, can't do anything with that.
You're at the west end of a long, featureless hall. The hall joins up with a narrow north-south passage. You're at the east end of a very long hall. You're at the east end of a long hall. There are 2 exits.
Okay, that was a circle. Not entirely. I'm getting so lost.
You're in a maze of twisty little passages, all alike.
I thought that would be quicksand. Go straight. Straight.
You're on the wrong side of the ladder.
Of course I am.
You need to be a little closer to climb that. There's nothing to do with it here. One ladder goes up, another goes... You need to be a little closer to climb that. You need to be a little closer to climb that. You need to be a little closer to climb that. You need to be a little closer to climb that.
Well, how much closer?
You're on the wrong side of the ladder. You need to be a little closer to climb that. There's no use for that here.
Oh, that was annoying. I gotta figure out how to get out of here. Okay, we're back where we were. Whoa.
You're at the west end of the Hall of Mists. A low, wide crawl continues west. Sorry, you'll need to drop something before you can carry anything more. Wicker cage. Dropping things you're carrying requires a nice, wide, flat place to put them.
Are you serious?
Wicker cage. There's nothing to do. That is useless right now. There are diamonds here. The dwarves weigh their diamonds here. Several diamonds. There's no use. Nothing happened. There's nothing to do with it here. Several diamonds. Several diamonds. That is useless right now. This must be where diamonds get polished. You're on the... There's nothing to do with it here. You're at the west end of the Hall of Mists. You don't know how to work it. The dwarves weigh their diamonds here. Several diamonds. Nothing.
Oops. I didn't mean to quit. Alright, so now you get to see the loading screen. I didn't mean to quit. I thought it meant quit the menu for some reason. Oh, that sucks. I don't have any of that stuff that I had when I went in there. Ow. This is pretty creepy. What happens if I keep going here?
My goodness. That was a mighty fall.
That's exactly what I thought would happen.
Oh dear. You seem to have been ousted from your adventure. I might be able to help, but I've never really done this before. Do you want me to try and resurrect you?
No. New game.
You are standing at the end of a road before a small brick building. Around you is a forest. You're inside a building, a well house for a large spring. You're at the end of the road again.
Let's walk down the river. I think if I decided to play this more, I would use mouse and keyboard. Because the mouse and keyboard seem to make things a little easier to maneuver.
Set of keys. You have unlocked the grate.
It's kind of a hassle to have to... I get it, I know it's like the classic...
You're in a small chamber beneath a 3x3 steel grate to the surface. A low crawl over cobbles leads inwards to the west.
It's kind of annoying to have to like cycle through, click on, grab ladder. But that's how these games were.
It's getting difficult to see in here. Bottle brass lantern. The lantern is now lit.
Having the lantern lit all the time is nice.
You're crawling in a low passage. You are crawling over cobbles in a low passage. You're crawling in a low passage. You're crawling in a low passage.
Everything you would think that you should pick up like that, you can't. Okay, you need the bird cage.
You are crawling over cobbles in a low passage.
Yeah, we gotta play keyboard and mouse here. There we go. Wait, no, that's the way we came. Dang it. How do I keep getting turned around?
Wicker cage.
Yeah. West. before you start almost knocked my keyboard over. So you can, before you start playing, you can set to not have the map regenerate, like, or at least have it, so you can see where you're going. This is a nice touch. Here we go.
It says Zizzy.
Oh, we need to get the bird. The bird is up this way, I believe. Oh, I wonder if I wasn't even supposed to go this way yet.
You're in a room filled with debris. An awkward canyon leads to the west. That is useless right now. You are in a debris room filled with stuff washed in from the surface. A low, wide passage with cobbles becomes plugged with mud and debris here. But an awkward canyon leads upward and west.
Oh, well, I guess I was supposed to go that way.
You're in a room filled... A 3-foot black rod with a rusty star on an end lies nearby. The bird was unafraid when you entered, but as you approach it becomes disturbed. Tasty food, black rod. There's no use for that here. Nothing happens. That won't work here. Wicker cage. The little bird won't let you near it. There's nothing to do with it here. The little bird won't let you... Nothing. The little bird won't let you near it. Tasty food. There's nothing happens. Tasty... Black rod. That is useless right now. Wicker cage. There's nothing to do with it here. Wicker cage. You have captured the bird. Black rod.
Alright, so we had to put the rod down. That's typical. That's basically the puzzles in this game. Like, oh, you can't find the rod. The bird is scared of the rod, and then we have to put the magical rod down, and then the bird we can catch.
At your feet is a small pit breathing traces of mist. A white mist, usually water, seen from time to time in caverns. It can be found anywhere, but is frequently a sign of a deep pit leading down to water. You're in the east end of the Hall of Mists. A wide staircase goes downward, and rough stone steps lead upward. There is a chamber to the south. Nothing. That won't work. Little bird in a cage. Nothing. There's nothing to do with it here. Little tasty food. That is. There's.
Can I turn off? Okay, speech volume.
Ba 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 ba.
It wouldn't be smart to pester a dwarf swinging a pickaxe.
Whoa!
Nothing happens. You could never pull it out, no matter how hard you try. A pickaxe is stuck in the rock. Zizzy. Zizzy. That won't work here. There's nothing to do with it here.
Okay.
Little dwarf. Watch out!
So I guess the pickaxe is nowhere to be found. I gotta say, this feels a lot like an old school PC game. It's done very well.
You're in the hall of the Mountain King, with past a huge green fierce snake. Little bird in a cage.
I don't know why the bird scares the snake.
The bird attacks the green snake, and in an astounding flurry, drives the snake away. Tasty food. The food is rather tasty.
Hope I wasn't. I'm sure I was supposed to use that for something, and I didn't. Secret compartment. Alright, let's explore.
The stream enters through a 2-inch slit. Bottle of water. Ah, you were getting a bit thirsty. Your bottle is now full. Nothing happened. That won't work here. There's nothing to do with it here.
Oh, that's thought I was stuck down here. I could have gone this way instead. Oh, can I fit through there? No.
You need to be a little closer to climb that.
That's obnoxious, so you gotta be like right on top of it. Alright, so we can go with, let's go with this
That won't
way.
work here. There is an enormous clam here. Its shell is tightly closed. It is too big and heavy to carry.
I'm gonna go a little bit longer. Alright, there was nothing in this cave. Let's save that. This is basically what you have to do in these games. They're trial and error. You gotta be like, oh, this might kill me. Oh, you better save before you touch it.
This is an old coral passage. It's now blocked by debris.
Okay.
Black rod. The rod. Black rod. The rod has no effect.
How about this?
Zizzy. Zizzy. There's no use for that here.
Let's go up these stairs. Alright, that kind of ruins the
You're in a
like,
passage. You're in a passage.
Why is there a step stool here?
You're in a passage.
The immersion. That's what I was trying to come up with. But
Looks like the Witt Construction Company, whoever they are building something. I wonder what.
whoa!
It says, cave under construction beyond this point. Proceed at own risk. There's nothing to do with it here. Oh my. What was that? You need to be a little closer to climb that.
Can't wait for something to fall and kill me.
You have crawled around in some little holes and wound up back in the main passage.
What?
That won't work here. You have crawled around in some little holes and wound up back in the... You need to be a little closer to climb that. You have crawled around in some little holes and wound up back in the main passage. There's no use for that here. You've crawled around in some little holes and found your way That won't work here.
So I'm lost now.
You have crawled around in some little holes and wound up back in the main passage. You have crawled around in some little holes and wound up back in the main passage.
How do I get back?
Precious jewelry.
and looks like west.
You've crawled around in some set of keys.
2?
You need to be a little closer to climb that. You've crawled around in some little holes and wound up back in the main passage. You've crawled around in some little holes and wound up back in the main passage.
No?
You've crawled around.
Alright, so basically you can save, load, all that stuff. I just want to... Alright, so I don't know where I was... Oh, you know what? Let's go the other way. We'll still talk to the construction company. Because that's a thing.
There's nothing to do with it here. You're in a rough... That is useless right now. That won't work here.
Alright, let's see if this guy is still around.
There is a recent issue of Spelunker Today magazine here. Zizzy. Nothing happens.
Whoa!
There is a recent... Sorry. Set of keys.
Excuse me.
There's
Sorry.
no... Spelunker
I'm
Today.
afraid the magazine is written in Dwarvish.
Bottle of bars of silver. Brass bottle of water. You're an...
Alright, let's go this way. Now this time we won't go up the ladder.
Oh my. What was that? You've crawled around in some little holes and wound up back in the main passage.
Alright, so that does nothing. Alright, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. This is... Let's, wait, we saved before we did that. I'm a novice class adventurer. That sounds about right. Alright, so, let's see, Chichuki Views on Colossal Cave. This is pretty much like a... really feels like an old school PC game, like a classic Sierra, like King's Quest type game. You have to think outside the box to do certain things, like we had to catch the bird in the cage and then use the bird to scare the snake from what you saw. The game is pretty much all like this. I think if I was more used to playing PC games, I would be a little more comfortable using a mouse and keyboard. I recommend using the mouse and keyboard, but I was playing with a mouse. It's easy to cycle through and stuff. When you don't play for at all, really, PC games, and your wrist feels it. Let's see, some help, basic stuff. It'll take a few minutes to get used to, but once you do, you pretty much feel like you played them the whole time. Quality of life, I love the idea of being able to just click on move and you move the whole time. Why there's a metal step ladder in this ancient time period thing, I mean, that doesn't really do too much. I was just messing around with that. I would like the frequency of the hints and the narrator, I think. I wonder if you can lower that. Oh, you probably would have to go back into the settings of the actual game to do that. I'm giving it an 8.5 out of 10. I want to thank everyone for the review code. This game, I mean, if you're familiar with PC gaming and old school PC gaming, Ken and Roberta Williams, this has their fingerprints all over it. You can tell, getting lost already, getting to find a magic wand in a pile of rubble, using the bird to fight a snake, and all sorts of stuff. I feel like we just only touched just the tip of the iceberg of this game. I don't want to spoil too much. So if you play it, enjoy it, explore some more. If you are new to the channel, should give us a thumbs up, share the video, subscribe to Chichuki, and did you play any of these old school PC games when you were a kid? My name is Steve. We'll hope to see you in the next one. Ladies!